parents missed my birthday for the third year in a row. A week later, my dad sent me a PDF invoice for my brother's birthday yacht party. $200. We split even here. I sent $1 with a note. I'm not on board. Then I revoked access to every streaming account and credit card. They started to panic and reported fraud. The bank called me. I laughed and said, they skipped my birthday, but remembered to log into Netflix that night. That's when I knew it wasn't just thoughtlessness. It was something colder. It was my 28th. I wasn't expecting cake and candles, just a call, maybe dinner, something. Instead, I got silence, not a single text from my parents, nothing from my sister, not even a lazy thumbs-up emoji in a group chat. I didn't plan anything big, just a small get-together in my backyard. My cousin Tyler brought ribs. A few friends showed up with drinks. We played cards, had music going. It was actually decent, except I kept glancing at my phone like an idiot waiting. My mom always texted me something, even if it was hours late. But not this time. Tyler asked, "Where's your family?" I said, "They must have had other plans." He gave me a look. I ignored it. Later that night, scrolling through Instagram, I found out what their other plans were. My mom, my sister, and my aunt were all tagged at a vineyard up north. Wine tasting, spa trip selfies with captions like "quality time with my girls" posted that afternoon on my birthday together. No mention of me. I stared at that photo longer than I want to admit. Not because I was shocked. This wasn't out of nowhere, just the first time. And it was blatant. Every time they needed something, I was right there. My sister needed help with her car insurance. Covered it. Mom said Dad's hours got cut. I paid their phone bill. They were all on my streaming plans. Prime, Netflix, Hulu, you name it. I'd even let them use a credit card in my name for emergencies. Turns out the emergency was giving a damn about me. That night, I decided I was done. No speech, no guilt trip, just action. First, I went into every streaming account, signed out all devices, changed the passwords. Every one of them. Netflix, HBO Max, Disney+, Spotify, Amazon Prime, gone. I checked the login history for each. Yep, all still being used. The night of my birthday, while I was standing around my backyard drinking beer with Tyler and pretending not to notice, my phone was dead quiet. They were watching movies on my dime. Then I checked the credit card. My sister had used it for Postmates twice. My parents had been using it to pay for groceries. That wasn't the deal. I froze the card. Then I called the provider and closed it out. Paid off the remaining balance out of my own pocket. Expensive? Sure. Worth it? Absolutely. Next day, the text came in. My sister, is Netflix down? My mom, your dad's card isn't working. Can you check it? I didn't respond. The next one was a little more panicked. Mom, again, we're at the store and the card keeps declining. What's going on? Then a call from the bank. Fraud alert. They said someone reported unauthorized activity. Asked if I'd frozen the account. I said, yeah, I did. And no, it's not fraud. Just no longer enabling people who only know how to take. Silence on the other end. The bank rep didn't know what to say. For the first time in years, I felt in control. Not angry, just finished. They never saw me as family. Not really. I was a walking ATM. They didn't have to thank. But I wasn't finished. This was only step one. I wanted them to feel the slow unraveling, the discomfort of not having the lifeline they took for granted. They wouldn't learn anything if it all ended in a single cut. No, this was going to be gradual and painful. The real panic didn't start until their phones stopped working. That was when the situation stopped being inconvenient and became unthinkable for them because money they could ignore. A missed birthday they could justify. But taking away their connection to the world that got their attention fast. I'd started with the accounts and the credit cards. They noticed. Sure, but they still thought it was temporary. They assumed I'd cool off, feel guilty, and give everything back like I always did. It's what I used to do. Keep the peace, cover the bills, let them pretend we were a normal family. So, when their phones died, and I mean died, the meltdown began. I was still the primary account holder. That family plan with 5 lines all under my name gone. I logged in, stripped it down to just my number, and canceled the rest. Done in 15 minutes. Cheaper for me. Devastating for them. My sister messaged me through Facebook using Wi-Fi from somewhere. She didn't say hi, just launched into it. You really cut off our phones? Are you out of your mind? I didn't answer. Just read the message and closed the app. My mom sent a frantic email that night. Actual email, like it was 2005. Titled Urgent Call Me. In it, she said they had no way to reach anyone. They couldn't log into anything. They were locked out of important services. And worst of all, they felt abandoned. Abandoned. The same people who skipped my birthday while sipping wine and laughing in matching white robes now wanted me to feel bad for not paying their bills. That word stuck with me. I thought about how many times I'd canceled plans to drive my mom to appointments. How I'd fronted money when my dad got behind on his insurance. How I'd let my sister crash on my couch after every breakup. No questions asked. I gave and gave and gave, and they treated it like background noise. Then they had the nerve to call themselves abandoned. That night, my dad called again. I answered just to hear what he'd say. He didn't ask how I was. Didn't apologize. He went straight into it. What the hell's going on, Mike? Why are you acting like this? I said I stopped acting. That's what's going on. He said I was being dramatic. That if I had a problem, I should have just talked to them instead of going nuclear. And that's when it really clicked for me. They didn't think they'd done anything wrong. They genuinely believed I was the problem, that I was being sensitive, overreacting. Like skipping my birthday and using me as a walking wallet was just family stuff. They didn't get it. They weren't going to. So I leaned into it. I made a list of everything I'd been covering or contributing to. Food delivery accounts, ride-share credits, shared cloud storage, subscriptions, Amazon household, all gone. I hit every corner of digital comfort they'd gotten used to without realizing it came from me. Then came the worst one for them. I deleted them from my Amazon Prime. No more 2-day shipping. No more free movies. No more discounts. You'd think I pulled the fire alarm at a country club. That's when my Uncle James called. He's one of the few in the family who actually works for what he has. Old school guy. Doesn't like drama. When I saw his name on the caller ID, I almost didn't answer, but I did. He didn't yell. Didn't tell me to fix things. Just said, I heard about the situation. Your mom's saying, you've lost it. I asked him what he thought. He was quiet for a second, then said, I think you've finally drawn a line they should have seen coming 10 years ago. That stopped me cold. I told him everything from the birthday to the spa trip to how they tried to gaslight me after reporting their card as fraud. He didn't interrupt, just listened. Then he said, just make sure you're doing this to wake them up, not to destroy them. I didn't answer right away because I wasn't sure myself. I didn't want revenge. Not exactly. I wanted them to understand, to see what it felt like to be taken for granted, to be erased from the parts that mattered and expected to bankroll the rest. But the deeper I went, the more I realized maybe they were never going to understand. Maybe this wasn't about waking them up. Maybe it was about finally waking myself up. The next week was quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet. The way things get right before a storm hits. I figured they were regrouping, trying to come up with a strategy to guilt me into reversing everything. That's how it always worked before. A mix of silence, fake concern, and eventually some half-hearted apology just to make sure the money kept flowing. But this time it was different. I didn't respond. I didn't flinch. I let them sit in it. Then came the knock on my door. It was my sister. I hadn't seen her in person in months. She stood there in gym clothes, no makeup, holding her dead phone in one hand and a Starbucks cup in the other, like she couldn't decide if she was here to fight or negotiate. She said, "Can we talk?" I didn't say anything, just held the door open and walked back inside. She sat down, looked around like she was waiting for backup, then asked if I'd had my little moment and was ready to fix things. That was the word she used. Moment, like a tantrum. I told her nothing was getting fixed. Not anymore. She rolled her eyes and said Mom was worried sick and that Dad had to borrow a neighbor's phone to call his office. That they were stressed, confused, and didn't understand why I was burning everything down over one day. I just stared at her. One day, that's when I realized the gap between how they saw things and how I saw things was wider than I thought. I asked her if she really believed this was all about a missed birthday. She didn't answer, just kept talking about how I'd blindsided everyone and cut them off. So I listed it out. Years of paying their bills, letting them live off me digitally, financially, emotionally, never being thanked, never being invited to anything that didn't involve me doing something for them. And the one day that wasn't about them, just one, they deliberately left me out. Not by accident, by choice. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she said something that really stuck. She said, "Well, you never asked for anything." Like, that was the excuse. I said, "Yeah, that's what made it easier to forget me, right?" She didn't have an answer for that. She left soon after. No screaming, no crying, just silence again, but a different kind, heavier. 2 days later, my mom emailed again. This time it wasn't frantic. It was weirdly calm. She wrote that she was disappointed in the way I chose to handle things, that I should have come to them like an adult, that cutting them off made me selfish. Selfish. The word felt like acid in my throat. Coming from the woman who used my money to book a vineyard trip while pretending I didn't exist. I was selfish. I didn't reply, but it got worse. Apparently, the spa trip they posted about, it was paid for using points from one of the cards I had added them to years ago. My points, my rewards. They'd racked up thousands in hotel stays and meals using my name. I hadn't even noticed until I went through my account history. They not only ignored me, they celebrated on my dime. And then something in me just shut off. All the bitterness, all the hurt, it stopped feeling sharp. It just went cold. I stopped being angry. I stopped needing them to understand. I just wanted distance. I wanted peace. And that meant no more explanations. No more second chances. I called the credit company and removed them from everything. Then I filed a formal complaint about the misuse of my card and had their charges investigated. The rep said it might escalate. I said, "Let it." I wasn't playing their game anymore. But they weren't done trying to win. They started calling the rest of the family, not to explain, not to apologize, but to twist it. Within a week, I started getting weird messages from cousins I hadn't talked to in years. Things like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but your mom seems really hurt and maybe just talk to her before this goes too far." One even said, "We all make mistakes, man. She's still your mom. Still my mom." That line made me laugh. I didn't bother arguing with any of them. What was the point? They didn't know the whole story. They weren't there when I stayed up helping my mom apply for assistance after she trashed her credit. They didn't know about the nights I skipped eating out so I could cover a bill she forgot. They just saw the drama now and assumed the villain must be me because I was the one making noise. My mom knew exactly what she was doing. She cried to the people who didn't know the truth and let them do the emotional dirty work. Classic move. Make me look ungrateful, so she could keep the victim halo on. But not everyone bought it. My Aunt Lisa, my dad's sister, called me. I've always liked her. She's sharp. No filter. She said, "I've heard about 10 versions of this story and 9 of them sound like crap. What actually happened?" So I told her, no sugarcoating, the birthday, the cards, the streaming, the years of financial support. How they made me feel like a backup plan that they never even planned to think. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she just said, "Yeah, that tracks." I asked if I was going too far. She said, "No, you're just the first one to stop pretending they're not selfish." That hit hard because that's exactly what it was. Pretending. Pretending that we were close. Pretending that I mattered the same way I made them matter. Pretending they didn't treat me like a convenience. Later that week, I got another call. This time from my mom's friend. Some woman I hadn't seen since high school. She said my mom was really devastated and didn't know how to fix things. That she missed me. That she was afraid she'd lost me forever. But here's what bothered me. My mom still hadn't called me herself. Not once. She'd send emails. She'd send people. She'd stirred up the family. But she never once picked up the phone, swallowed her pride and said, "I messed up," because to her that would be admitting that she did something wrong. Instead, She was waiting for me to fix it again. And I knew right then that nothing had changed. Not really. So I made a decision. I drafted one final message. Not to start a fight, just to end it. I wrote, I didn't cut you off over one birthday. I cut you off because you've spent years showing me I was only valuable when I was useful. You left me out of your lives and I finally believed you. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. I sent it to my mom, my dad, and my sister. Then I blocked them. I thought that would be the end of it. But people like them don't accept silence. Not when they've lost control. A week after I blocked them, it all went quiet. No texts, no emails, no surprise calls from people I hadn't heard from in years. Just stillness. And then Tyler knocked. He had tacos in one hand and a six-pack in the other, like he knew I need a reason not to tell him to go. We sat on the porch. He didn't speak at first, just cracked open a beer and handed me one. Finally, he said, Your mom's been calling everyone. Says she wants to fix things. I looked at him and asked, Fix what? He shrugged. She didn't say, just that she wants to talk. She's saying she didn't mean to hurt you, that things got out of hand. I asked him the same thing I'd been asking myself. Did she ever admit what she actually did? Tyler didn't answer right away, just took another sip of his beer. Then he said, No, just that it's all gone too far, and she wants you to come back around. Come back around. That phrase stuck with me. Me the rest of the night. It wasn't we want to make this right. It wasn't we finally understand how we failed you. It was come back around, like I was the one who wandered off. Like I had just lost my way and needed to return to the fold. The fold where I paid the bills, kept my mouth shut, and let them act like none of it ever happened. They weren't trying to fix it. They were trying to restore control. I didn't say much to Tyler. He knew where I stood. He nodded like he expected it and left the rest of the tacos behind. But that same night, I saw something that hit differently. My sister had posted a long story on Instagram. Nothing direct, just vague quotes about betrayal and people who forget where they came from. She didn't say my name. She didn't have to. Half the comments were mutuals asking if she was okay. The other half were her friends saying things like, You've done so much for people. Some just don't appreciate it. I laughed out loud. I'd been footing her digital life for 5 years, and now she was the one painting herself as the betrayed. 2 days later, I got an email from my mom. Subject line, Let's fix this. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. The body of the message was short. I never wanted it to come to this. I've made mistakes. I see that now. But we're still your family. Come home. Let's talk. Let's fix this. We love you. We forgive you. That last line, we forgive you. Like I was the one who left them out of a birthday trip. Like I was the one who drained their accounts or locked them out of their own lives. Like I'd been given some chance and blew it. There was no I'm sorry. No, we were wrong. Just a vague soft-get suggestion that both sides had messed up equally and that all I needed to do was come back and pick up where we left off. What they wanted was for me to make it easier for them again. So I didn't respond. Instead, I finished what I had started. I went through every account I'd ever connected them to. Not just the ones I paid for, but the ones where they'd used my address, my name, my email, anything. Old rental applications, a shared Costco membership, a gym account I forgot I'd helped them open 2 years ago. I removed myself from all of it. I erased every trace of me from their logistics. Every link that made their lives easier through mine, gone. Then came the letter, a real physical letter in the mail. Sloppy handwriting, blue ink, 3 full pages. My mom, she started with the usual. We miss you. We love you. You're our son. Then came the carefully worded apology. I'm sorry if you felt left out. That was never our intention. As if it hadn't been entirely intentional. As if I just misunderstood. The next paragraph was about how hard things had been for them lately. That Dad was struggling to make payments, that my sister's work was unstable, that they could use a little help until they got back on track. Then the kicker, we're ready to forgive you whenever you're ready to come back. That's when I knew they weren't changing. Not now, not ever. They didn't want to make amends. They wanted the perks back. They wanted to skip the hard part, avoid accountability, and get back to the version of the relationship that benefited them the most. I folded the letter, put it back in the envelope, and tossed it in the trash. The next morning, I booked a trip out of state. Not a vacation, something longer, a fresh start. I'd spent so many years orbiting around them, hoping they'd see me as more than a convenience. But I finally saw the truth. They wouldn't change, and I didn't need them to. They could spin it however they wanted. They could say I abandoned them, that I went cold, that I overreacted, but I knew better. And soon they'd understand what it really feels like to lose someone. Not because I wanted revenge anymore, but because I didn't care enough to explain it again. I left without a word. No long goodbye, no dramatic send-off. Just packed my things, turned off my phone, and drove 16 hours straight until the city that knew me and drained me was far behind in the rearview mirror. I didn't tell Tyler. I didn't tell my job until the very last day. I just left. It wasn't some wild leap across the country, just a different state. But it felt like another planet. For the first time in years, no one knew where I was. No one expected anything from me. My name wasn't on someone else's phone bill. I wasn't the emergency contact that fixer the fallback. I was just Mike. I got a job at a small tech firm, rented a modest place, and lived simply. I cooked my own food, watched whatever I wanted, paid only for my stuff. The quiet at night felt strange at first, like something was missing, but then I realized what it was. The wait. No one was asking for anything. No vague messages, no guilt trips, no more being treated like an ATM with a heart. 3 weeks into the move, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring out. Voicemail. My sister. She didn't sound angry. She sounded tired. She said, "I know you're probably not going to listen to this, but I don't know what else to do. Mom cries almost every day. Dad keeps checking the mailbox for a letter that's not coming. Just let us know you're alive." I listened to it twice. Then I deleted it. They wanted peace now. They wanted forgiveness. But they still hadn't said the one thing I needed to hear. We were wrong. Instead, everything they said was still about them. About their pain, their confusion, their regrets. It was never about what they did. Never about the way they erased me, used me, discarded me, and then acted stunned when I finally stopped making it easy. They missed what I did, not who I was. A few days later, an email came from my dad. It was just 2 lines. "I know you've made your decision. I respect that. Just know that I was wrong. We all were. You didn't deserve any of it." That one I didn't delete right away. I didn't respond either. I let it sit in my inbox, unopened again after the first read, like a museum piece. A relic of the apology I waited years to hear. Too late to matter. Too late to change anything. But at least it came. Too many people never even get that. After that, things truly went quiet. The calls stopped. The messages ended. Maybe they finally understood. Maybe they finally realized that love without respect, without presence, without effort isn't really love at all. Tyler eventually found out where I'd gone. He showed up one weekend, knocked, and when I opened the door, he just grinned and said, "So, this is where peace lives now, huh?" I let him in. We talked. I told him everything I'd been thinking. How I wasn't angry anymore. Just finished. How I didn't hate them, but I wouldn't go back. Couldn't. He nodded. Then he said something I still think about sometimes. They keep saying they lost you, but they never really had you. They just had access. That hit harder than any of the apologies because he was right. They didn't lose a son, a brother, or a nephew. They lost a version of me who tolerated being forgotten, being used, being dismissed. And once that version of me was gone, there was nothing left for them to hold on to. Now, every once in a while, I'll get a card around the holidays. No return address, just a simple thinking of you signed by my mom or dad. I never respond, but I don't throw them away either. I keep them in a drawer, not because I'm holding on, but because I like remembering how far I've come. Forgiveness doesn't always mean going back. Sometimes it just means moving forward without dragging the weight behind you. I didn't burn the bridge. I just made sure they knew I'd crossed it. And I never planned to return.